Straw Hut Media.
Thanks for joining us on Both Sides Now and Beyond. Dive into the unseen realms with spiritual mediums James Van Praagh and Kellee White as we redefine perspectives on life, death, and human experiences.
Hello, Kellee. How are you, darling?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm getting through your book a little bit at a time. Each chapter of my hair stands out, man.
Oh my God.
I've been reading Kellee's book and things I didn't know about Kellee, and I'm like, wow, we got to change the title of this book. It's a real page turner. It's a real page turner. Once you get into it, it's like, wow.
Starts off a little mundane, and then
it can easily be a theatrical release. I mean, come on, really.
Could be.
I probably already have, but there was a different name to it. But yeah. What do you think? There's so much in your life that, I mean, I was like, wow, having one person have all of these things in their life. And you took a lot on.
I took a lot on in this life.
And that's right. And I was keep on reading and thinking, well, you got through this and you got this because it makes you a great therapist. Now you can understand all life experiences.
All life experiences and also medium too. Both.
And medium. And there's both worlds going on.
I see both all the time. And they're great lenses to use, you know?
Yeah. And once you started trusting your intuition, it got stronger, correct? And it became your way of life, kind of. And then you met me.
Well, I met you. No, first I trusted it because I met you.
Right.
And then it became my way of life. Yes, because you kept saying to me, "I'm telling you, you are here to be a medium." You said this to me over and over.
Yeah, I did.
And you worked with me long before you had the school. You worked with me. I did development circles with you. You were really such the best mentor anybody could ever have.
And I pushed you on stage, said, "Come on, you can do this, Kellee."
He would do that. Yeah, he'd say, "Come on, we're going to go to Hawaii. We're going to go. Come on, you're jumping up on stage." I was like, "What?" Yeah. Oh, that was fun. We had fun.
That's true.
How was your weekend? Was it good?
I have a very funny story.
Yeah.
And someone said you're a great medium, Kellee. You are a great medium.
Oh, thank you.
Because you're so real, you're so grounded, you're so down to earth, and that's what's rarely lacking. Anyway, in these days, I had a mixed up weekend in that I don't know. I usually see my good friend Julie. We hang out Sundays and have a barbecue and just hang out, have a glass of wine, have dinner, whatever. We hang out, and but we did it on Saturday. There was a party that we went to, a friend's party. I was telling about this house. You gotta come.
Sounds amazing.
Amazing, lovely artist. This woman's an artist, and got home. And then the next day, I got up usually with Pearl at 7 a.m. and did her thing and brought it to school. And I get to the school and I'm like, there's nobody here. What's going on? So I opened up the door. The door opens, and the owner goes, oh, "Hi, James. What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm here for Monday morning." She goes, "It's Sunday." I said, "I beg your pardon?" And she goes, "It's Sunday." I'm like, "Huh?" I didn't even remember I thought it was Monday.
Oh dear.
I was thrown off. And it was and I'm not a morning person, so it just threw my autopilot thing. But she took her for the day, and it was fine, and everything is fine.
Sweet. She took her on Sunday?
She took her on Sunday, and I came back and I did two chapters of your book.
Thank you.
And preparing for the cruise program, which is getting really interesting.
Going to be fascinating.
I'm going to show people this. This is
you guys won't believe this.
This is all the different levels and spheres that we're going to discuss in the cruise.
Wow.
Out of body experiences, OBEs, and astral projection. It'll be fun.
It'll be so fun.
So tell us about astrology. What's happening astrologically?
Some really interesting things are happening today. Actually, on today, we've got 6 planets in fire signs. So that's a lot of fire, right? And
a lot of energy.
A lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of courage. If you're lacking courage this week, we'll bring it on for you. A lot of optimism. Don't you feel that? Mm-hmm. This week brings a tremendous amount of creativity, James. Tremendous amount. So if you have been stuck with something, this week will push you right through to do some wonderful, interesting things.
Perfect.
But the predominant element this week is fire. So we've got Jupiter, Uranus, Rahu. They're all in Aries, which is a fire sign. We've got Venus and Mars and Mercury now in Leo, another fire sign. So that's 6 planets in a fire sign. So when this happens, you've got to watch your temper, because some people could get very angry. But and it's going to be hot. As we already know, the world right now is really, really hot. So I got an email from Ron Oyer from Life Journeys, James, and he said, he's in Europe, as you know, in Greece. He said, it's so hot. He said, I can't wait to get to Alaska where it's cold. So that's something.
Yeah, it's really hot.
Really hot. So we also currently have, let me tell you how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 planets. I should say 4 planets and a comet in retrograde. So we've got Pluto retrograde, we have Saturn retrograde, we have Neptune retrograde, we have Venus retrograde, and now we have Chiron, the wounded healer, retrograde in Pisces. I'm talking Vedic astrology here. And what this means is for the next 6 months, particularly starting off now, people will be going inwards to look at your wound, to look at, and here's the question to ask yourself. Am I truly healed, or did I cover up the wound? Because, James, people do that. They'll say, no, I'm good. And they just keep going.
They go through emotions, but don't go deep inside. I've just been dealing with people I know. Yeah.
Totally. Now we're looking at things you might get triggered to actually work on yourself. So it's a really important time when ever Chiron goes inward or retrograde. It's really time to work on yourself. So this is amazing time.
And I have a question. I have 4 planets in fire.
Oh, well, then you will be creative, being able to do many things at once, as you already right now juggle.
I'm multitasking like 3 things at once.
And you're firing on all cylinders as you do it.
Yeah.
So you have this amazing ability to do this. I mean, you can be as focused at this moment here and then turn around and be focused somewhere else.
And I didn't even tell you this. I decided today that I'm going to be one of the co-directors of the Leslie Flint Trust Foundation. Oh, I've got to put my name in for it. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Leslie Flint, for those who don't know, is the last great physical medium. Yeah. And I was playing my friend Marianne earlier was here. I was playing her Oscar Wilde, the tape of Oscar Wilde.
So phenomenal.
And it's just, his work is so important that I want to bring it out more and honor that. My mother came through, there was a wonderful guy that came through in 1986 and told me I was going to be doing this type of work, that many are involved with me. And he said, you're going to be writing a book one day. There'll be many pages in this book. We are here, many to help you. So it's my way of giving back to that. And to reach more people with that truth, that life after death. It's another way of bringing out life after death. And it's so fascinating. His work was he was a Capricorn, very down to earth man. And I remember sitting in a seance room, Leslie Flint, older man, and we're sitting waiting for people to get to the seance. And he goes, James, I said, yes. He goes, you see that box over there on the television? I go, yes. He goes, you're going to be on that one day and you do it responsibly. I said, I will.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's my way of giving back there for him and his work. So.
Wow. Oh, I think this is so exciting.
I haven't even told them yet. I'm going to invite me to let me do it or not, but I want to be part of the trust to help.
I hope you are. Because God knows you have his work done so well.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, so astrologically, it's a very creative work. So put your creative week, put your creative hat on and get to work. A lot of change going on. So a lot of change in jobs, a lot of change in relationships with Venus retrograde, a lot of divorces.
She's going through divorce right now. Yep.
Yep. A lot of all that. So it's a busy time. Anyway, that's it.
Okay. Well, this is an exciting bless your summer cold. Kellee has a little bit of a cold. We don't know how she got it, but you were in close to some human.
Yes,
and
I was.
The human sneezed on you.
That's correct.
And was coughing on you. And
that's
Kellee,
correct.
as Kellee did, just said, oh, what's going on? And Kellee received the part of that. But
that's
you're
right.
better because last week you were down.
I was, and I'm doing much, much better. So if I have to cough for a minute.
You look great. You sound great.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you.
Well, this is going to be, I don't know why I would say this, it may become the Virgo part of me and you, but I don't know what I love. This topic of the show tonight is one of my favorites.
Me too.
And I was saying to Kellee earlier, but her and I are Virgos and we love research. And I just love research. And my favorite thing are books. Yeah. I love bookstores. I love old bookstores. I used to tell my publisher, I want to sign only independent stores. They said, no, you got to go to the chains. I'm like, ugh, but can you throw in some independent? Because I believe in independent bookstores. And they're getting less and less and less because less people are reading books. So, but I love books. I love having books. I love being around books. I developed in a bookstore, Bodhi Tree Bookstore in Los Angeles. I used to go every weekend and read every topic you could name on the spirituality and metaphysics and so forth. And you, Kellee, you love books as well. You've always loved books. You're learning.
I am a bookaholic. I mean, I have these books behind me. That's nothing. I have books all over the side. I have another room of books. I have books in my basement because I don't have enough room. I love books. And when I had my spiritual awakening, I could not get enough books. Yeah. And that's one of the things that you're having some beginning of a spiritual awakening is when you want to start reading. really spiritual books.
You become like a sponge. You want
A
to absorb it all.
sponge. I remember I would have no money, no place to live. It didn't matter. My mom would see me and I'd be carrying 5 or 10 books with me everywhere I went. You know,
Yes, yes.
I don't think I put that in my book, but it's true. I'm such a book person, and I'm so glad I have what I have. I love them.
I was just in, it was so funny. I was just in Fort Lauderdale and Sarasota, and I went first to Sarasota, and there was an old bookstore. I almost cried, and I went and I spent like 2 hours going through the old bookstore, everything from everything. And it was just, I found some spiritual books there, some Civil War books there, just some great stuff. And just the history alone. And I love to hold a book and feel the book. I love to be in a room with the books. I love the knowledge. I love libraries. My favorite thing is a library. Get me to a library. I used to spend days in the library. I think it's the movie theater I used to go. You used to that too?
Totally, James. We're two peas in a pod here. In fact, I have to tell you something. Speaking of small bookstores, well, you and I love the Bodhi Tree. We love the Bodhi Tree. But one day you were doing a book signing at the small bookstore in Pasadena. Do you remember that? The bookstore in Pasadena.
Yes, of course I do. Yes.
So and you
on
bought
Lake
me
Avenue, right?
one of my favorite books. You said to me,
Mind.
"You don't have this book." I said, "No." He said, "You do now." Remember
Mind.
that?
Yeah.
And everybody.
I ordered a lot of these. And I give them out to everybody.
Yeah. Well, I kept mine.
Yeah, it's a little Bible. Every page you open up. Quiet one. So tonight is going to be some. Of course, we couldn't do all of them, but some of our favorite books of all time, and different subjects. And Kelly, you go first and tell us what you have.
Well, my favorite book of all time. So
get out your pen and paper, everybody, because you're going to write this down.
I'm going to write these down. But my favorite book of all time, there is a story behind this one. And this book changed my life. You know, if we talk about life-changing books, this book changed my life. And this book was given to me by my dear friend Charlene 3 years before I had my head injury or any spiritual awakening. But this book, Talking to Heaven, is my all-time favorite book of all time because I love this book so much, James. It meant so much to me when I read it. You wrote it in 97.
I wrote in 97, and it was a quick story about that was I didn't want to do the book, and a friend of mine, Peter, who was in a development circle with me, said, the spirit world is saying you have to write this book. You have to write this book. And I did write the book, and it was Louise Hay of Hay House Publishing. She had a ghost friend named Linda Thompson. And somehow I met Linda Thompson, and Linda helped me with, I wrote the book, but Linda helped me with the grammar and syntax, and she's still working with us today. She's working with your book right now.
Yes,
and she's just incredible. So
she's great.
Talking to Heaven was, the publisher didn't believe in it. I went to several of the publishers. No one wanted to buy it. It was like cold February. It was February. So I just helped Audrey Meadows pass over the night before. That's all the story. And I went to Red Eye to New York, and I was at a run down 6th Avenue to, I think it was Simon & Schuster or something. And it was like freezing cold. No publisher wanted except Penguin Putnam went. And this girl, Danielle Perez, was the editor. And she goes, I like this. I said, there's 2 common things we have as humans. We share 2 common experiences. One is birth. We know a little bit about that. And the other is death. And we all want to know what happens. So this answers those questions. And she said, well, okay, I'll do it. And to make a long story short, and through many different types of scenarios, I ended up in the Larry King show. The publisher literally sent me to Chicago, my first book tour to Chicago. I did a radio show that Marianne Williamson did before me on a college campus. I went to the bookstore and there were no books. They sent me to a city with no books. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
What? So after Larry King, they had 6,000 copies. That Larry King was December 1997, I believe was 7th. And that was Friday night. And they, the book, the calls to CNN Bureau went from 6 o'clock that night to 3 o'clock in the Sunday afternoon around the world.
Wow.
Bureaus, and went from 6,000 to 600,000 within 2 months. And it was 26 weeks, #1 New York Times. And it was, they called it Miracle of Publishing. And that blew it out. That opened up that whole space as far as life after death. Mediumship was the first medium ever on television ever to do Larry King. And it was pretty amazing. It was and everything. People Magazine, and it was just weird. I'd go to airports and at least press people would be there. And it was a wild time. But thank you. It's helped a lot of people. And I thank them for entrusting me to write that and giving the words. And that's great. It's a book everyone can relate to in a way too. It's
totally. So good. So thank you for writing it. God. Thank you for listening. So what book do you come up with first?
Well, I have so many. It was hard to choose, but one of the books that I read when I was working in an office. And funny enough, I read this book, and every time I read a certain page, I turned and said, "This makes sense to me." And this is before I did anything mediumship wise.
Okay.
And I was working for Norman Lear, who was a producer for sitcoms, and I was doing
All in the Family.
Yep, All in the Family. And it was an organization called People for the American Way, and they were really going against Jerry Falwell and the religious right. And they were trying to help balance that. So I put together a celebrity garage sale. Never did it before, but I had all these different addresses, and I had this person's address, and the book was, let me see where it is, Changed My Life, Out on a Limb.
Oh, Shirley MacLaine.
And I wrote her, I had her address from this list, and I wrote her and I said, thank you, because every page I read, I was like, oh my God, this is it. And I never did this. I wrote to her and I said, thank you for this book. It changed my life. It's changed me. It makes me think differently. Never think I can hear from her. And then Christmas Eve, about 3 weeks later, Christmas Eve, I get a card from her. I said, thank you for your thoughts on my word, and happiness to you in your world. And now we're good friends. Now we're good friends after all that. But that really changed my life. That book opened me right up.
Yeah, I love that book much. I loved it too. That's interesting. But how did that come after your book? Like a year later, 6 months later?
Before my book, way before my book.
It was before your book.
Oh yeah, much so.
So you wrote to her before you were published.
Oh yeah,
interesting.
This was in 90. This was in 86.
Oh God, I remember when it came out. In my mind, it was later.
97. So 9 years later, my book came out.
Wow, James. God.
Yeah, that's set in 7 years of development too. But it said something to me. It spoke to me.
Yeah.
And now we're good friends. I mean, we know each other very well. We spend a lot of holidays together, and it's just wild. Wild.
Okay, am I next?
Yep, you're next.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with, I have so many.
You're so funny. You have a white chair like I have a white chair. I'm just saying.
Oh my God. I know.
Our office is exactly the same.
I'm going to go with this book, and I've got so many, but this one is one of my all-time favorites. It's called Holiday in Heaven. Holiday in Heaven. It's a wonderful story by Aaron, Aron Abramson. Holiday in Heaven. And the reason I love this book is this man was a medium who wrote it. He had a lot of out-of-body experiences. And it's where it takes you on the other side, and it goes to, the great library, the meaning of truth, all kinds of things. And it's written in such a beautiful way that I read it once a year. I read it, and I just love it. It makes me feel good when I read it.
Who's the author, Kellee?
Aaron, Aron Abramson, Abrahamsen, Abramson. And I found it at Bodhi Tree, James, and I just loved it. I know. It just means a lot to me, that book.
In that line, one of my favorite Bibles of all time is a book which Renee is going to put up, and it's called Life in the World Unseen by Anthony Borgia. It's a spiritual classic. And it's very much like that Holiday in Heaven, because it talks about, it was based upon a Monsignor who died, and he got to this other side, and he realized that all the work, all the information he was telling his parishioners about the other side in heaven was wrong. So he went through there it is, Life in the World Unseen, Anthony Borgia. Thanks, Renee. And it was, it's really channeled. It's all this information. Monsignor goes through a medium and talks about everything on the other side, what it looks like, what it feels like, the colors, the different spheres. It's phenomenal. And it did so well that they're more in Life in the World Unseen too, Anthony Borgia. That's a good one. Classic. There's a classic spiritual book. You should have it. Wow. In their library.
Okay, that one I'm going to put in mine because I don't have that one. Thank you. Okay,
oh, you don't have that one? You'd love that.
I don't. Okay, I have to name these now, James, because I love these books. The Spiritual Unfoldment by White Eagle.
It's on my list.
It's on your list too, and I've got Spiritual
1, 2,
Unfoldment.
and 3. Yeah,
I have 1, 2, and 3, and then by White Eagle. And also, do you have this one, James? The Path of the Soul
by White Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and Kellee. Do you have this one, Kellee?
Let me see.
The Best of White Eagle.
Wait a minute, I can do one better. I have guidance from Silver Birch.
Oh, Silver Birch is great. Yeah, so
Very
every Silver
good.
Birch book you can get. There are many Silver Birch books. You should get all of those Silver Birch books, everybody. Silver Birch in your spiritual library, no doubt.
And then I have these two also, which I love. Heal Thyself by White Eagle.
I love to have that.
And Beautiful Road Home.
I have
by
that
White
as
Eagle.
well. Yeah, spiritual.
Great books. Yeah. So good. Okay. I had to get the White Eagles in there because I think they're just so terrific. Whoops. Oh.
I'm falling over on my white chair.
You fall over on your books.
So one of the books I first started reading in my development, which I thought was fantastic.
Jessica says we need a list of all the books. I would love to read them all. Thanks for sharing. Well, we can do that. We can do that, Jessica. It's a good idea.
Oh, that's interesting. My goodness gracious. Okay, I'll tell you later what I just found this book. We'll flip out. So this is a great book. It's called Key to Yourself. I got this at Bodhi Tree. Key to Yourself by Venice Bloodworth.
I don't know this. Okay.
Really good book. And it's he's a doctor, a therapist, there's psychology. Yep. Reflect both the findings of modern psychology and the principles taught hundreds of years ago by Jesus of Nazareth. She referred to the subject matter of her teachings and writings as spiritual psychology, and said that her goal was to help humanity by explaining to people that they can think themselves into actually being well, happy, prosperous, and beautiful.
Oh,
so when I first started doing this work, I got involved in Church of Religious Science and Ernest Holmes books. So anything Ernest Holmes. So a lot of my start was really believing in myself, learning that you have thought, you have the power of thought. You can create your life with what you think. So that was one of the key books. Key to Yourself.
Wow.
Go on, Kellee.
Okay, and this is a staid book, but I love this book. Many Lives, Many Masters.
I picked Brian's book out as well. I thought you'd probably.
Yeah, Dr. Brian Weiss, and I know you've known him for many years.
Worked with Brian for like 20 years. Yeah, been great man and great work.
Great book.
The book is still up there in the top of the bestseller list of 25 years. It's good.
Yeah, it's a really, really good book.
It speaks truth.
Yes. Okay, you're up.
Okay, I'm up. So this is one which was out of print for a long, long time. And it was a classic in the spiritualist movement. And Arthur Findlay was a lovely man who was very, very big at, and he started the college, the place for the college psych studies back in England. This exciting book contains specific detailed evidence of life after death. Anyone skeptical of the idea should read this book because the author presents the most compelling evidence for it that you will ever find. The author was a well-respected man who wrote a massive scholarly 2,200-page book on world history called The Curse of Ignorance. It's really wonderful, and therefore knows how to conduct research on penetrating and revealing level. On the Edge of the Etheric is a book here.
Ooh.
Every page containing many true cases. So it's all about what happens when people pass over, the evidence in life after death. So really great.
Oh, that looks really interesting.
Really, really good book. Okay. Recommended for every serious researcher or open-minded skeptic.
Wow.
Scientifically explained. Yeah.
Wow.
Might be hard to get. It was out of print. So I'm not sure. I think you still get it now.
Wow. Okay. I have questions and answers by Manly P. Hall. We were just talking about him the other day. Do you have this one too?
I think I sent that to you.
Oh, did you send it to me?
I sent that to you.
Oh, I love it, James. I love it.
You remember I sent you a whole box of books?
Oh, yes, I do. I didn't know this was in it. Okay, you're right. You're right. And this is the fundamentals of esoteric scientists. So
I have one better.
I tell you, because this is such a good book. It has so many answers, so many questions. It's just great. And
Manly P. Hall was a philosopher, in metaphysical and cosmology. The Secret Teaching of All Ages. He wrote 18 books by the time he was like 14 years old. He was widely regarded as a sage and teacher steeped in the wisdom of antiquity. He was one of the leading esoteric scholars of the 20th century. In 1934, he founded the Philosophical Research Society in Los Angeles, which continues to publish Hall's many works. I met him. I was actually first moved to LA. I remember Los Feliz.
Of course, I went there, but I never got to meet him. Yes.
I got to meet him, and I went to 2 lectures with him. I got to meet him afterwards. Before I'd gotten more involved in this work, and then once he'd passed over, but I still would go. And eventually, when I was out doing my book, they called me. They wanted me to do a Sunday lecture, so I did. I actually went there and did an event, and I had to sit behind the stage in his personal library.
Oh wow!
It was unbelievable. So I love any book by Manly Palmer Hall, but this is one of my favorites.
Wow. The Lectures of Ancient Philosophy. Wow. Whoa.
Companion to the Secret Teaching of All Ages.
Wow, James.
Yes, he was amazed. Look at his eyes. Look at his eyes.
Whoa. That is something else. He looks like he's in the light.
Manly Palmer Hall.
Whoa.
He channeled this. Look at this diagram. He channeled it to the other side. Look, he channeled that.
Oh my gosh. Father, Power, Mind, Father. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a pretty amazing book.
Uh-huh.
Good one.
Gosh, that's something. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I have a great book. I want to talk about this book. This is Joan Didion, and I love Joan Didion, and she passed away recently. I don't know, not that long ago. The Year of Magical Thinking.
I never heard of it.
It's a great book for widows and widowers who have lost their spouse, because she was a really, really well-known writer and just an incredible writer. And her husband, when her husband died, she went through this magical phase of not believing it really happened, and what she goes through, the trauma, and then the recovery of it. It's really great if you're a widow or a widower or know somebody. It's a great book for that. Year of Magical Thinking.
She met me in the Hammer Hall. Fantastic. Yes. It looks like Regina in the back of that book. Yes, very true. There's also a couple things here, something recommended to Kellee.
Okay.
You recommend David Kessler's Visions, Trips, and Crowded Rooms. Talk about grief.
Yeah.
David Kessler's a wonderful grief therapist.
Absolutely.
He's wonderful.
Yes. Love him.
Yeah. Let's see what else. People are recommending some books here, which is great. Let's see. Here's one.
This one. Okay.
Wrote The Quiet Mind. White Eagle wrote The Quiet Mind. Out on a Limb. Yeah, amazing. Yes. Let's see. David Kessler. Yes. Joan Didion's writing is exquisite. I'm loving this. It's like Christmas. Joan, what was her name? Joan
Didion.
Oh. The other one that our friend told us about. The Wizard of Oz lady.
Oh.
Joan Quigley, was it? Hold on. I might have it. Hold on. I might have to get it. I think I do.
Oh, and Margaret, it's an omega signal. It's an omega behind this. It's called The Secret Doctrine or something chair, and it's the greatest chair ever. I just loved it. Oh, well, I love this. Jeannie, she said, I read Year of Magical Thinking after my stepdaughter died. It was soothing. Right. Oh, thanks for saying that. Yes, Louise books are great, and you can heal your life. And I have that here somewhere. I have that here. You can heal your life. Here it is. It's a great book. You can heal your life. Great positive affirmations here on Louise Hay. If you don't have this book, this is a seminal book, everybody. Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. Great book.
Here it is.
While James is doing that, I'm going to put, James, do you know Care of the Soul by Thomas More?
Of course. It's a classic.
This is a classic book, Care of the Soul by Thomas More.
Classic.
So good. I mean, it's really reclaims the soul for psychotherapy in a deeply moving way. It's a classic book, everybody. You would love it. Thomas More, just great.
Another classic book, really classic book. Back,
Okay.
I got it for $2.50. So people didn't know what it was.
Okay.
And this was printed back in the 30s. Was it in London?
Okay.
I'm sorry, 59. Morris Barbadol, incredible medium.
Ooh.
This is spiritualism.
Ooh.
Now it might be out of print, but you can look online. You can probably get something else. This is
Wow.
great book. It was a great medium. Okay, I have a story quickly.
Okay.
When my cousin Patricia, who taught me metaphysics when I was a kid, and she completed suicide when she was 48, and we were the closest of all 12 cousins, right? And it was so weird. I'm gonna cry. It's so weird here. Oh, and I hadn't seen her until I had a near-death experience, and she was the first person I saw 20 years later.
My gosh.
Okay, so when she died, she lived in upstate New York, near Rochester, New York, and myself, my sister, my mother went up on a train to see her, and she was cremated, and her sister said to me, she went to the bedroom, she says, anything of Pat's you want, please take it. And you and her were very close, and there was a shelf of books, and I said, I'd like that. And I don't know, but I went to this book, and it's the very first book I ever read before Bodhi Tree on spiritualism. A World Beyond.
Oh, by Ruth Montgomery. I'll be darned. A World Beyond. So that's, I've got chills, James. That was your cousin's book.
About my cousin's book. I never knew anything about life after death, the world beyond. So I'm taking this, and the cover is off. And I'm reading this on the train on the way home. True story. Okay. So the cover is off now. So I'm just going to be very careful because there's something here. I got to see where it is. It's a trippy story. Hold on. maybe it's not 40. I don't ruin the book, but there's something here. Here it is. I can't read. I can't find it now, but there are marks here. She has little marks in the book. There are different marks. She has little marks here.
Oh, yes, yes.
And on one of the side pages, I swear to God, I thought it was 45, but it literally says, "Are you ready?"
Yeah.
I want this read at my funeral.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Read at my funeral.
Oh
Isn't that
my
weird?
gosh. Did that happen?
I know, because the funeral never happened. What happened was years later, I bought a tombstone for her, and I went up there and repeated it. But they hear us.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
to have her book and do the work that I do and put her in my books.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the meditation, page 113.
Oh, isn't that
Yeah.
amazing?
Dog, page 66. Prayer
Wow.
71. She said 71. I'm sorry. Here it is. 71. She said. Isn't that trippy?
It's really trippy. And that's what she wanted at her funeral.
Yeah. She said, here she is. I'm the of my funeral. Those prayers are virtually important, and the Catholics have the right idea in their prayers to the dead, a custom which should be adopted by all faiths and creeds, and also by all those who still love those souls who have passed on to the next phase of life. We here pray as diligently as ever we did in the physical state, and because this established that attunement with our Creator, we feel it affects more immediately here than we did in the physical state. Sometimes the soul on this side is awakened only by intercessory prayer for those in the physical state. The Kennedy brothers are a striking example of the power of prayer. Such a tumultuous, spontaneous wave of prayers pounded forth when the president was slain. Same with Princess Diana. She came back and she talked about how, and many of them said, "I don't belong where I belong." Elvis said that. He didn't belong where he belonged, but because of the prayer of people, the thoughts pushed them up to the higher level.
Wow. Wow.
Beyond Ruth Montgomery.
Wow. Susan Smith, could someone please repeat the author of Questions and Answers? Yes, Manly P. Hall. Excuse me.
Manly P. Hall. Manly Palmer Hall. And you should look up anything he does is great.
Everything he does. You're right. Absolutely right.
Well, any book with Edgar Casey is great.
James, what about this book? Do you know this book? Discovering Your Soul's Purpose.
Never heard of it.
Love this book by Mark Thurston.
No.
Oh, it's so good. Whoops. I've got all my pages on here. But it is so good. He was actively involved with Casey. Yes. And he goes into helping you figure out your specific mission in life. And it's just really great. It's creative. It's dynamic. It's a terrific book. I love this book. It's one of my that I keep around all the time. Oh, and James, let's not forget this one from you. The Game of Life.
It's again like The Quiet Mind. It's one of my favorites. I'm actually doing a course on it, and it's a Game of Life by Florence Shinn. And it's one of those ones I read when we first got started about the science of mind. And it's all about how your thoughts create reality. So that's a great book. And then this is the one, Kelly, from Joan Grant.
Oh,
Speaking from the Heart.
I don't know that one at all.
This is one that our friend from Wizard of Oz friend told us about.
Oh, okay.
She was
wow.
An incredible medium. And it's really good for it's all about her past life in Egypt and how it's affecting the present life.
Wow.
Yeah. And she used to be a wonderful channel herself. Yep.
Wow.
Good book.
Interesting, that one. Okay, I have to show this one because this is I love this book. Wheels of Life. It's a book on chakras.
Classic.
People, it's classic book
Ledbetter.
right? I mean,
is it Ledbetter?
No, it's Anodea Judith.
Because there's also one by Ledbetter, C.W. Ledbetter, which is like the one.
I have bet one of those two of his as well. He's written a lot of books.
A lot of books.
But she's really well known for, it's called Wheels of Life. Anodea Judith is her name. And for chakras, I think she used to teach classes in it too. She's really, really good for that. Okay. And somebody...
Guadalupe, I love Echoes of the Soul from Echo Bodine. Yeah, Echo's a good friend of mine. She's an excellent writer in person and Virgo, by the way.
Oh, gosh. Okay. And we've got to talk about Michael Newton, Wisdom of Souls.
Oh, it's Bibles.
Bibles, and Journey of Souls.
I've used those as research for my books, the last two books I did.
I've used them too. And Destiny of Souls is the third one, which I have somewhere here.
And I'll be using that for that book for my cruise for some references.
Really?
Yeah, because we're going to go to a station before we come back to the Incarnation.
Okay.
One of those stations.
Good.
Reiki Beast is my favorite part about garage sales and estates is finding amazing pajama books. Very true.
Oh yeah. Huh. All right, James, you're up next.
Yes, Anne Margaret. Can you imagine? It'd be amazing. So this is a book that I one of the first books I ever read. And it's a great accumulation of all different types of authors, all the different, and it's really great. It's by Robert Walsh, MD, PhD, and it is one of the first books I read called the seven essential practices to awaken the heart and mind, essential spirituality.
Oh, that looks great.
It's great.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Wow. I have a book here. If you're dealing with suicide or loss of suicide, touched by suicide, this I thought was such a good book. If you're
Who is that
dealing
by,
with that,
Kellee?
Michael Myers and Carla Fine, touched by suicide. And if you know somebody that really needs this book, or you may need this book, it's great. Really helped a lot of people.
Yeah, I did the Sally Jesse Raphael show once, and there was
You
a lady
did?
there.
What was that like?
You really want to know?
You'll have to tell me off air.
Well, no, I can tell everybody. It's fine. I'm no
Okay.
problem. I was it was a young man that was the show was on Life After Death, whatever. There was a client though, a person whose son completed suicide, and she wrote a book. And it was actually an excellent book about suicide. And her son is on the cover. And I'm sorry I don't remember the name of it, like Ben's story or something. It was really, really great. But yeah, that was an interesting time. I was on stage and I did a reading for a couple who another son who was on suicide. Their son hung himself in front yard in a tree.
Ugh.
It was horrible, but the reading he came through really well. And the funny thing, Kellee, you know more about this than I do because you lived in Beverly Hills, and I know you're around a lot of these people. But the celebrity thing, for me, I think that like a celebrity or someone like on TV, they're a certain way.
Yeah.
And did you ever have this? And when you meet them, they're completely different.
Completely different.
Completely different.
No, and then you know the whole story, and you're like, oh. Oh,
not to down Sally, but I was a big fan of Sally Jesse. Remember that show was on all the time.
Oh, it was huge.
And I got to meet her, and we did that. And she was in the audience, and we did the readings. That the people were traumatized on stage. The son came back, and she said, "Okay, everybody, goodbye, see ya." And she walks backstage. She walks off the stage, out of the audience, and back to her dressing room.
And that was it.
And then said anything to these parents, and I'm like,
"Oh my God!"
So I went back to the dressing room, and I said, "Sally, you need to finish up with the guests on your stage. They just went through a traumatic experience, please." And she went, "Huh?" I said,
"Oh
no,
my gosh, good for you! Wow." Nancy P says, "Seed of the Soul." Absolutely, Gary Zukav, "Seed of the Soul."
Oh, Seed of the Soul, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Gary
phenomenal
Zukav,
book,
phenomenal man. I know Gary; he's wonderful.
Yeah.
He's just a light being. Threads of intuitive with everything Gary does is great. Like Brian Weiss, everything is great stuff.
That's true.
You remember that show, Joni? Yeah, that was some show. Okay, so this is one of my favorites. Okay, thank you. Okay, so The Boy Who Saw True. It's a wonderful story about a little boy in Victorian times, I believe it was, and he used to see auras and spirit all the time. His grandfather used to come to him all the time, and he used to tell his parents about the grandfather's visit. No one would believe him, and then things actually happened, and it's such a great, honest depiction of when you're the joy of a little child, the innocence of a child, and yet he was saying things, and that they couldn't negate it because it was like, this is real what he's saying. But it was really a great humorous, a tongue-in-cheek, but it's a real story based on a true story. And I read one of the first books I ever read again when I was just starting, and it was such a warm-hearted book. And when I became well known with this work, I wanted to get the book because I wanted to turn it into a movie or a TV show. So I called the publisher back in England, and the book was out of print. They stopped it. And I kept on telling people about the book, and within a year they republished it. So it's now back in. And I would say, yes, it was because of my interest. I got a lot of people into that book, but it's a great book. The Boy Who Saw True. You all should read it. It's a lovely story.
Oh, I will get that one.
Lovely, lovely story. Thanks, Renee.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one here called Souls on Earth by Dr. Linda Backman, who worked with Michael Newton. And if you're interested in interplanetary life in between lives, she goes back into the different galaxies and different types of souls that come in, and it's really good and it's really well written. And
I
she
met
worked
her
with.
once.
Did you
I
like
met her?
Did you meet her?
I liked her. I met her at a workshop. Yeah, I met her at a conference. Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
very bright
Very
psychologist.
tactful, very down to earth.
Very down to earth. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love this book.
Very down to earth. This is one of my favorites. John
Okay.
John Kabat-Zinn, I love.
Oh,
Wherever you go, there
absolutely.
you are.
Oh, that is a seminal book.
All
Great
right.
book. Great book. Yeah.
So this is a wild story. So I'm reading this on the plane from, I think it was from LA to New York. I was going to Omega, and I'm reading this. This really speaks to me. I got to read this, and I'm reading it. I'm halfway through it, and I'm teaching at Omega, and I look on the list, and who's the next hall over? John Kabat-Zinn.
Oh my gosh!
Like,
Did
oh
you
my
go
God.
to? Did you get to meet him?
I didn't because he was busy, but I think he was busy talking with
Yeah.
people, but I just kind of waved and like said like that to him.
Wow.
And I don't think he signed the book, but I didn't want to interrupt him.
Yeah.
I didn't
He's
want to.
done so much for a lot.
He's phenomenal. He's phenomenal.
Okay, now this is a seminal book on death and dying, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. I
It's
mean,
the book.
everybody, it's got the stages of grief. I mean, it's the original book.
It's
So
the book.
definitely, this is a great one. Oh, now James, I have some that I have to talk
Isn't
about.
it fun?
This is so fun. I have to get as many here as I can in my hands here, but
No energy by nature.
okay.
Audrey, hello.
All right, James, I'm just going to put your books here like this because if you don't have James's books, you need these books. I mean, first of all, Ghosts Among Us.
Well,
Ghosts Among Us, great book. Great book.
I wrote that book because I was doing the show Ghost Whisperer.
Yes.
And the producers didn't really care much about it. And they would use certain terms, like if an out-of-body experience or projection, they would use their own terms. And I would say, you cannot use your own terms. They're a foundation of terms that, just tell your fans that, the producers. Like, what? So, and there are certain things that they would do. When I first started Ghost Whisperer, there were ghost rules that I had implemented, and CBS agreed. And I had to educate the producers and Jennifer LaVue for a year with Jennifer LaVue. I helped her out. She was like a student, and I helped her out and did readings with her and her family. And she came with me to do readings, to look at what I do. Anyway, and after a year of that, and the show was very successful, Jennifer and I made it successful. And then they just, we don't use ghost rules anymore. So I wrote that book so that people in the world would know really what it's like, because I felt the integrity was, compromised.
Right.
I wrote Ghosts Among Us to tell people what it's really like.
And Unfinished Business.
It's another great book. If I do say so, they're all different. Unfinished Business, I did that because I've told you this before. I was for so many years, I would get spirits come through. We still do, Kelly. Have spirits come through and say, if I only knew then what I know now, I would have made different choices. I would use love instead of fear. I would love myself more. And I got so tired of hearing this that I wrote this book, Unfinished Business, to have no shouldas, wouldas, or couldas. And it really is. That's what it's about. It's a good classic.
It's a classic book. Okay, this, for anybody who's had loss of children or knows somebody with loss of children growing up in heaven, has saved so many families, James.
Yeah.
This is an incredible book.
They're all so different. And
I know.
that was that book, that was a story where I was living in Laguna Beach, and I went to my office in the afternoon, and the spirit children were in my office. And I'm like, what are you? I don't see that often. I'm like, what are you doing here? And they said, we're going to help you write your next book. I'm like, what? And I didn't know what I was going to write. And I sat down, and before you know it, I wrote that book. It's about children who pass over. What do they do on the other side once they get there? Why do they pass over? It's like all these different cases that, it covers everything about children that pass to the side and what they're doing on the side and so forth. Yeah, it's helped a lot.
Okay, Wisdom from Your Guides, great book. Everybody asks about spirit guides all the time. I teach a class on spirit guides, and I always use this book, James. It's a great book.
Thank
you.
It's
got so much great information, and of course, The Power of Love, excellent book too.
Power of Love that goes along with the cards.
Those are cards.
Right now, it's my favorite book, Power of Love. It's just
so
a simple book about the energy of the.
And I have to say this: How to Heal a Grieving Heart. Book. Because so many people ask me about what to read when they're grieving, and this is a great book for this.
Doreen Virtue is no longer; she's out of this movement. So I have the book in
Grieving Her Heart.
Grieving Her. I have it with my name on it, so it's just my name, which is I wrote the book anyway. But it's a good book. It's a good basic book on grief. So it's an excellent book on grief. One of the first books I read on when I first got started, also when. Kelly, I don't know if you knew this. I as Pearl eating her bone in the back. I worked in Beverly Hills. I worked at William Morris Agency, and I used to take the bus from La Brea and Hollywood Boulevard to Wilshire Boulevard, and I used to read books. And I used to pass on Sunset Boulevard, the Church of Religious Science.
Yeah.
And I went to the Bodhi tree and found out books about it. And one of the first books I read was this book, and it's changed my life. And it is great. You can't afford the luxury of a negative thought.
Love that book. We were just talking
Ron
about it
Roger
on
and
another
Kate.
show.
Yeah.
So good.
It's a great book, everybody.
Yeah. Everybody should have that book, actually, because it's true. You cannot afford the luxury of a negative thought.
And this is just, I opened up to a saying from Amelia Earhart. Courage is the price that life exacts for granting peace. The soul that knows it not knows no release from little things, knows not the livid loneliness of fear, nor mountain heights, nor bitter joy can hear the sound of wings. That's interesting.
That's beautiful.
Here's another one. Missed one more. Destiny is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. It is not a thing to be waited for. It is a thing to be achieved.
I love it. Love it. Okay, remember this book, Seth Speaks. I always loved this book. It's an old book, but it's a book that the eternal validity of the soul.
It's a Bible.
It's a Bible, right?
I read it on channeling.
Right.
Incredible information.
Yeah. And Laurel, if you're listening, we love this book. It's just great.
This is a book I lost the cover of, but it was one of the first ones by an incredible medium, a mystic actually.
Okay.
And the mystic, I found out when I moved down to where I'm living in Encinitas, had a place right near my house because this area was very spiritual, and the Elfkin Forest was here. Harmony Grove, which is spiritual camp, is right here. And I used to come down here to do an event once in a while. It was very spiritual. Well, Gladys V. Jones, and this is Gladys V. Jones, and it's called The Flowering Tree.
Oh.
It's really good. It's all about reincarnation, the cycles of karma.
Wow.
Cycles of karma, reincarnation, choices and decisions to make, atoning pain, what pain and suffering bestow. Yes.
Wow. Shady. I'm not going to be able to pronounce your last name, honey, but she says anything by Annie Besant, which I loved. Annie Besant.
Annie Besant.
Besant. I always said her name wrong. Is it Besant?
Theosophist.
Yes,
so
she's a theosophist. Yes.
Theosophist, and I have a whole library to Annie Besant.
Do you?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was my first. Theosophy was one of my first things to study at the Bodhi tree. Yeah. First subject, if you will.
Oh,
Annie
love
Besant.
it.
Yeah, Annie Besant. And some of the stuff was very heady, but you take it slow.
When you'll see in my book, James, when I had that situation with my daughter going out of a window, that situation, I later went
I'm still trying to get over that one. That traumatized me.
Me too. I went to a medium who actually channeled Annie Besant for me.
I read that. I read that.
It's very empowering.
Chapter 11, Kelly.
There you go. Okay. I have to say, anything by Sanaya Roman, I love. And I don't have Living with Joy because I've given them all out. But Living with Joy by Sanaya Roman and Spiritual Growth, really terrific books. And Living with Joy is my favorite.
The Guide to Joy.
Oren. The Guide to Joy? Living with Joy.
Living with Joy. Living with Joy. One of the first books I've read too. It's fantastic. Yeah. Living with Joy. Yeah. Here's a one which not many people know about.
Okay.
I got this very early on, and it's like, again, it's kind of a workbook, but here we go. I'm gonna cry. We all live with see if you can recognize who wrote this. We all live with the objective of being happy. Our lives are different and yet the same. Anne Frank from the Diary of Anne Frank.
Oh.
So this book is all about happiness and joy. You're affecting other people. And it's called Let Your Values and Goals Work for You. Choosing Happiness. Life and Soul Essentials. Really good by Stephanie Dworick. Really good.
That's a good one. I have a book for everybody who loves angels as much as I do, and I have a dictionary of angels, and I got this at the Bodhi tree years ago, James, and I
remember that book.
Love it. It's got every angel and every information about every angel you ever needed. Dictionary of Angels. I love angels.
So Kelly, I thought you'd come up with this book, but I don't see it yet. Maybe you have it there, but I thought you'd have it, so I didn't pull it out, but it's behind me. The Crystal book. The Crystal Bible.
Okay, so I wrote it down because I couldn't find it. I have it here somewhere, and I couldn't find it. And so I actually wrote it down not to forget to say it, the Crystal Bible. That is the book for crystals, the Crystal Bible. Yeah, I don't know what happened to my book, James. I maybe gave it away. I don't know. It's in one of these shelves that I just couldn't find. But the Crystal Bible is a great great book for crystals. And you know, I love crystals. I have lots of different crystal books, but that's the best.
It's the one.
Yeah, that's the one. Absolutely. And there's an updated one. It's got all the latest ones. It's so good.
Really,
crystal,
really good.
Yeah, that's a super, super duper
And that's
one.
by Judy Hall. And it's really comprehensive.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I have some psychological books too.
Okay.
That I have to show you. So when I talk about certain personality types, narcissist, borderline.
Hold on, let me get that down on a piece of paper. Continue.
Okay. I hate you, don't leave me. It's a seminal book. This and Stop Walking on Eggshells. If you
sent
have
me that one.
It's an excellent, these are excellent books. Stop Walking on Eggshell or I Hate You, Don't Leave Me. If you have a situation where you are dealing with a personality disorder.
And who is that by, Kellee?
This is by Gerald Kreisman and Hal Strauss. Kreisman and Hal Strauss. And this is, like probably 30 years old or something, but boy, they're seminal books and they are, and this was, got so many good ones. But, and when your mother has borderline personality, this is a great book. So many out there do have a mother or had a mother that was borderline personality disorder, and it's really hard to recover. So this is a great book. And then the last one on in any of these topics, this is called The Betrayal Bond. And this is a great, great book. And I realize I'm going fast with these, but this is a great book if you know somebody or if you are in a really compromised relationship. Betrayal Bond is a great book by Patrick Carnes, Carnes, famous book, been out for a long time, and it's been updated, and it's great. So I recommend this to a lot of people that, are struggling in relationships.
I found this in the bookshelf too. This is another White Eagle book, which is a really good one.
Oh,
have you know this Book of Health?
Let me see, which one?
Health to Healing.
Oh, James, that looks good. I don't have that one.
Alternate Remedies.
Oh my gosh, I want to get that one. Health and Healing? Okay, I am so getting that one.
If it's still in print, Kel.
I got to look for that one. Okay, I have this one by White Eagle, A Guide for Living with Death and Dying.
Yeah, that's an old one. I have that one. Yeah, that's an old one. It's a good one. This is a book by Rupert Sheldrake, and it's 2017. It's recently new. And Rupert Sheldrake, as a biologist and author of more than 85 scientific papers and 12 books, he was a fellow of Clare College, Cambridge University, and a Frank Knox Fellow at Harvard University, Research Fellowship at the Royal Society from 2005 to 2010. He was the director of Perrott Warwick Project, funded by the Trinity College, Cambridge. He is a fellow Institute of Noetic Sciences in Petaluma, and he wrote this lovely book, Science. Really great. Really great. Brings the two worlds together in a way for everybody to understand.
What do you think of this book, James? Autobiography of a Yogi.
I loved it. Loved it.
Yeah, this is a seminal book, also. Everybody,
it really is a seminal book. Yep. Yeah. He of course created. He lived where I live in Encinitas. His temple is here.
That's right. That was the original one, wasn't it?
The original one, right in Encinitas, and supposedly he built it because the bedrock here is crystal, which is true. It's all quartz crystal, and it's here down this area and Northern County, San Diego, and Southern Laguna. And when they were building a hotel in South Laguna, where I used to live, someone said to me, there are quartz crystals they found. And I literally have one right now in my backyard under your moon you sent me.
Ooh.
And Yogananda started yoga in the United States in 1940. That's where yoga began. It was right here in Encinitas at his temple.
Unbelievable. Well, I'm going to leave you with this one, James, which is one of my favorites, Soothsisms.
Can you read one of those?
I can. And this is a guide for those just starting out and those already on their way. So Dr. Seussism, expand your horizons. The more that you read, the more things you will know. The more that you learn, the more places you'll go. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. Expect the unexpected. I heard a strange peep and I took a quick look. And you know what I saw with the look that I took? A bird laid an egg on my rhythmic book. So funny. Just so silly.
I did a work at Soul of Yoga down here, a demonstration. Okay. And he came through.
I was there.
You were there? Were you there?
I was there for that. And that was one of the reasons why I pulled this one. So James is going, I don't know, with Sue.
A doctor, a Sue.
Sue, a doctor.
And wasn't it his daughter sitting there or something?
It was. The daughter-in-law. It was
The daughter or daughter-in-law?
I think it was the daughter, James.
Yeah,
I think it was the daughter.
Would it be my
And
father?
it was extraordinary. Yeah, that was an extraordinary
That was with Chris
moment.
Drew, the medium from England. They traded with Chris Drew, the demonstration. And we also brought through Liberace, I believe, came through that. Or
I think so. Yeah.
Sinatra came through for somebody, and she was his dresser at one point.
Yes.
In the 50s.
Yes.
Remember that? It was wild.
That was so wild. Oh my gosh.
This is a
Yes,
book-
everybody. We will definitely keep a list of this for everybody. The Harmony of Love. Bob, who is that? Oh, Lazar.
Zarzalag.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good book. Good basic book.
Okay. Oh yeah, the Tao of Pooh. Yep. Okay. Yeah, what a summer reading list. So I think James. Oh yeah, and any books. Oh, I love the books by Dolores Cannon and Raymond Moody.
Oh, Dolores Cannon was special in my life. I love
Me
Dolores.
too, James.
Yeah, great books by Dolores Cannon.
So everybody, we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Now, James and I, you'll put your books together, James, and I'll put my books together, and we'll get them to Carissa, and she'll put it out.
Yep.
We'll get that out to everybody. Okay.
Thanks, Kellee. Thank you, everybody, for joining in.
Bye, everybody.
God bless you. Thanks, Renee.
Thanks for joining us today on Both Sides Now and Beyond. Your hosts, James Van Praagh and Kellee White, are dedicated to bridging the earthly therapeutic world and the world beyond, aiming to guide you on a path of self-discovery and spiritual enlightenment. Every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, you can tune in live on YouTube and Facebook, or if you miss the live show, you can always find the latest episodes right here on your favorite podcast app. Remember, this journey of exploration and understanding continues weekly, and we're honored to be part of it with you. We encourage you to subscribe to our podcast if you haven't done so already, ensuring you never miss an episode of our foray into the unseen realms of the many lessons they hold for us. Until next time, stay open-minded, remain curious, and remember, life and its myriad experiences extend beyond the physical plane. See you next time on Both Sides Now and Beyond.